Here at the start of Walking Football, and that's John Croot, Andy Morris and Adam Norman. So John, I'm going to come to you first, if you'll grab the mic, and tell us about that first trip to Manchester and where the idea came from.
Are we on, Keith? Are we? Can you hear me okay? No. I thought you were going to say yeah, but Mike's not on. I know a few of you, some of you in the room probably know this story, but we applied for to a fund called Extra Time, which was being run by, was it Comic Relief or Sport Relief?
Sport Relief.
Sport Relief. £10,000. It was done in partnership with the EFL Trust, as it was then, and there were, from memory, about 25 or 30 chunks of £10,000 to go to EFL clubs. So I did an application form, and we were successful, which was great. Then got invited to an event at Manchester at some of you might know is at the Cliff, the original Manchester United training ground, that is now, I think it still is to this day, is operated by their foundation. So it sort of made sense, and the Sport England, who were distributing the money on behalf of the funders, did a presentation day, and there were a few speakers from clubs that had worked with people from that age group, different things that were happening, and they were saying things like, you can have chair-based exercise, there's tea dances, it's about as much as anything else, combating isolation, getting people together. Andy was quick suggesting dominoes. I seem to remember you turned up with your dominoes to a session.
Bingo.
Loves the dominoes, or did do. Do you still play them, Andy?
Dominoes, it's a black thing. Dominoes is something.
One thing I did take away from that was that the KPIs that they wanted was that they wanted a lot of engagement from people, and it was something that was once said in a meeting at the town hall, I remember, where they were talking about something totally different, but they said, well, football always gets the numbers, gets the people involved, and that's very much stuck in my mind. So sort of coming back from Manchester that day, I was thinking that, and I thought, well, actually, let's see if we can make football accessible for older people. Not everyone can run, some can, and that's great, but not everyone can, and I'd always been really interested in walking. So I thought, actually, what about if we do walking football? And I thought, well, that'll never work. And I thought, actually, if everybody does it, maybe it will. And then I thought, well, we could perhaps take slide tackles out, edding and things like that, and I kept thinking about it, and then I think the next day I got back in, walked into the porter cabin, Andy.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
The porter cabin that we brought down from Saltergate, that we loved, and sort of said to Andy, look, sort of thought of this walking football. I think Pete as well was involved, and Pete went Googling at that time, didn't you, Pete? I couldn't find anything on it anywhere. There was nothing. It didn't exist. We made calls. I think you did as well, Andy, to other clubs who we knew across the football network, and nobody had really heard of it. So we sort of decided to put some sessions on, and it's really at this point where I sort of pass it on to Andy and Adam, really, because they sort of picked up the baton, if you like, really, from here. And I think from memory you did various different things with the rules initially, trialling it out.
Yeah.
First, Andy, when John came to you with that idea of walking football, what was your initial reaction?
Well, obviously I thought it was a good idea, and then John says, you need to come up with some rules.
You laughed.
Well, I did when you said you need to come up with some rules. Without swearing, I thought he was taking the piss. And I said, yeah, fine. And then you looked at me again, and I said, yeah, I've sorted it. He says, what do you mean sorted? This needs sorting. I said, it's sorted. I says, the rules are already there, John. I says, instead of running, I'm just going to walk. And that was basically it. Obviously, it needed tweaking a little bit with regards to head height and stuff like that, and not going in the area, and the keepers area, the arc area, but that's basically how it came about, and then we obviously organised the first session up at Queen's Park.
And tell us what you can remember from that first session.
God, it's a long time ago. I think, I'm not too sure, there's about 15 or 21 players arrived, and I'm sure we did a small like dribbling session and shooting session. I think you were in net then, Eric, when I got Eric the cat going in the net. Yeah.
Weren't there a couple of ex-pros there, Pewey and that? Did Pewey turn up? I think he did.
Might be. I'm sure.
Colin Tart, were it?
Colin Tart and Pewey were there.
Yeah, but it was a good day, and it was a nice day, and everybody got involved with it, and everybody loved it, and obviously we carried it on. And I'm not too sure how many sessions we got up at Queen's Park before they wanted to start running.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Yeah, they did. Obviously, they got into it so much, they wanted to do a little bit of running. I said, well, obviously not everybody can do the running bit, so we need to kind of like stick to the rules a little bit. And but you like got two factions. Some of the lads who were a little bit younger who could run wanted to do one, and then obviously the older ones that just wanted to carry on doing the walking football, that would carry on, and that's how it came about.
So coming to you then, Adam, what are your recollections of those early days?
So I worked for Bolzano Street Council and did at the time, and John approached us to run the programme for that. I think you might have been short on coaches at the time.
Yeah, I think we probably were.
Yeah, I mean you were down in the cabin, so you're not as big a force as you are nowadays. Yeah, so we decided as a council to take it on. We went for 3 venues: Queen's Park, which was on a Monday, Dronfield on a Tuesday, and we went for Clown on a Thursday. No one turned up as Clown on Thursday, but on the Monday we got Neil and we got Eric first session, and he just went from there, didn't it? I think did you come on Tuesday the day after? We had a couple at Dronfield, and Dronfield numbers weren't great, and the Queen's Park numbers grew, so we ended up merging them. And then from there, it just went from strength to strength.
Brilliant. I've asked Neil to prepare a couple of words tonight about those first sessions, if I can borrow that mic. And Neil, if you wouldn't mind, obviously one of the first walking football players.
Well, I'm not sure that's entirely correct, because I think the people that played with Andy and Adam a year before us would consider themselves the first players, but we would argue we're the oldest continuing walking football team, now known as the Senior Spyrites. And that happened in June 2012. And as far as I'm concerned, I came to it through swimming. I'd taken my granddaughter swimming in the leisure centre, and because they'd taken so long to get changed, I was idly looking through the leaflets, and I saw one that said, over 60, do you like football? Do you want to play again? And I thought, hang on a minute, this is speaking to me. And that was it. And I turned up that first day in Queen's Park car park with Adam and Eric, and that was it. And the following day, I think I might have gone along to Dronfield, where Roy Beresford, Chris Cobb, and a guy called Michael were there, and Michael gave up very shortly afterwards, hurt himself. He did some damage to his shoulder. But yeah, that was the 18th and 19th of June 2012, according to our records. And as Adam said, we eventually merged into one session at Queen's Park. But But in those early days, we were so small in numbers, we played on half a pitch. I don't know if you can remember, Adam, we used to pick the goalpost up and carry them up to the halfway line. It was so small. But very soon it sort of picked up, and there were other teams in the area, and we were off to exotic venues like Rotherham, Sheffield, Nottingham, and even Claycross to play them. In fact, I don't know whether it's on this group, but there is a picture of us after the Rotherham game with the Lord Mayor with all his regalia on, which appeared in the Rotherham local newspaper. And one of that team was one of the Charlton brothers. Unfortunately not Jack or Bobby, but it was Tommy Charlton. But we do sort of look back and say, well, we did play against one of the Charlton brothers at one time. We entered various competitions in those early days, and at that time I think there were not so many people playing, so we were quite successful. We won the inaugural Warburton's Cup, and I think the trophy might still be downstairs in the cabinet.
I think it is, yeah.
That we won, yeah, and that was presented by Jimmy Armfield at Blackpool when that was played. And I think, thanks to John or whoever, we were allowed to carry that cup around the ground at half time against Notts County, I think. We were absolutely terrified of facing the away supporters, but they gave us a hell of a ovation, which was really nice. We also won a tournament at St George's Park. We were hoping perhaps there'd be an England manager there to sign up some of our youngsters, but no such luck. Our funding in those early days came from the Community Trust, and without that help, we would not have carried on. But the subsidies stopped around tail end of 2013, and we started collecting our own stuff and decided to effectively go our own way, if you know what I mean. We had the first AGM in December 2013, and the name Senior Spyrites was suggested by Eric. Thank you, Eric. And that's what we've been called to this day. In fact, at that same meeting, I seem to remember Eric volunteered me as treasurer, a job I've had until last Friday. We had about 15 people turned up to that first AGM, so it's a bit different to the 140 odd we've got now. We've had a lot of sponsorship from various organisations, the major one being the Coalfield Regeneration Fund, which gave us about 2,500, I think, so that was pretty good. And that was a joint application with the Expires, who were the running football team that developed from your first session. I think this is important. I mean, we turned up, as I said, there were sort of 4 or 5 of us from the first 2 sessions of the Senior Spyrites. We didn't have a clue what was going to happen. We didn't know how it was going to be played. We made rules up as we went along. There were basic rules, like you can't head the ball, although I see we had so few players at one time, we had a rule that you could only score with your head. Which was and also we had so few players that Adam, who was our coach at the time, used to join the attacking side, which was quite interesting. Made our own rules up. We had another one that we called George's Rule. One of our early players was a guy called George Rennie, who thought we should be allowed to score from our own half. So we adopted that rule, and that is now part of walking football rules, I believe. You can't score from your own half, so that was great stuff. But I think all in all, we owe a lot to the people that founded it. John, Andy, Adam, definitely. Derbyshire FA, because in the early days, Derbyshire FA gave us an awful lot of support. It was run by Lauren Mellor, who used to run what she called football festivals at Gosforth Fields in Dronfield. They were great days. And in 2018 we went international. We invited a team from Almelo, who I understand are no bottom of the Dutch First Division, to Dronfield. And since then, that's led to an annual visit to Almelo for our teams. The big growth came when Barclays did the TV advert, and our numbers grew dramatically and carry on doing so. I just hope we've got 3 teams in various Derbyshire leagues now, doing fairly well. And I just hope that we will, after 14 years, will continue for another, at least 14 years anyway. Okay.
Thank you, Neil.
Adam as well. I was just going to say, I seem to remember you, Adam, saying to me around that time you were looking at something having a time-out area or something like that. It was just you were playing about with the rules and sort of coming up with.
I can't remember, to be honest.
I can remember
The heading rule, I've just remembered it. It wasn't actually just heading. We had one to each finish. So if you remember, because we had so short numbers, to make it didn't, because it was too easy to score, weren't you? You could just dribble and put it in the goal. So we created a rule where you could only score with one touch. So we had to kind of build a play up and create a bit of space to be able to then poke it in. Little light bulb moment for Ian there. You should remember that.
I never cheated.
Yeah. I can't remember that one.
I can remember you mentioning it to me that you'd tried it and it hadn't worked, but you were thinking of having some sort of time-out area.
Oh, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. We have. I've got it here. It was a channel down either side.
That was it, yeah, something to do with, yeah.
There we go. Channel down either side, but it was an unopposed zone.
Oh, it was unopposed zone, was it?
So down either wing, if the ball went in there, for people that might not be able to hold off a challenge, then they could have the ball and make a pass without getting that taken off them. But it didn't really work, to be honest.
It's a good idea, though, to be honest.
It's there if needed.
Yeah.
While you've got the microphone, Adam, obviously it must be nice to come back and see some familiar faces from those early sessions and know that Ian and Eric are still playing now. Eric at 87 years young, still playing at Hasland every week. It must be great.
Thanks to them lads for starting it.
He's not aged a day since either.
Especially Andy,
Big man.
our accounts taker. Since one just had any replacement, been to the Spanish season, the route programme. Fitness for the over 60s. Fitness and fun. And wife really promises, what about doing this? And at that time our accounts taker got a belly on me. So I said, yeah, we'll get you go. Walking football, as we've just been saying tonight, we're inside on the hard floor at Queen's Park. I said, is it good for us over 60-year-olds? Well, over 70-year-olds on his knees. So the following week we're outside on turf. And Andy has given me 16 extra years. I can't thank him enough. From being a couch taker to fit 87. I can still wash my own car, clean windows, do my own gardening, and I'm still playing football once a week. I've got a lot of memories, just brilliant. When we first started, we were slow starting, and gradually built up with Sky Sports did an hour on us, times to times did a big spread, Grandad's Army, and we started to grow. And the first years were brilliant. To say we were 60, 70-year-olds, we were like 10-year-olds, had to kick right top line. Having fun enjoying each other's company, across the pub for coffee after, and even now at Asland, after we finish with the pavilion, coffee, tea, and wives make cakes for us. They're lovely. And it's Asland. Oh, my only one regret when we dropped the age to over 45s, then it started getting physical, and a lot of us older than us 70s, I've seen them in town watching, stop coming because it was too physical, which was a shame. It was. But apart from that, I'm very happy to thank them guys again. Absolute brilliant. And Bagel may continue. And one of my favourite things is when we played Nottingham Ladies. They invited us over to Nottingham pre-season, they wanted Sharpnut. They thought playing wheels at Sharpnut up. And we beat them 3-1. We beat Nottingham Ladies. And after we were talking, one of the ladies came up to me and she says, if I get you away, will you come and play for us? But a lot of members I could talk all night. But same again now. Thanks to John, Andy, yeah, brilliant. All three of you.
And to answer your question, that's kind of response. It just makes you feel proud, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's just one story. And the amount of mates that you've all made is brilliant.
Well, I guess.
So one question I've got: are you still diving around on the floor?
Oh,
Are you still diving around on the floor?
oh no.
I remember the first couple of times, just literally the cat.
You guys know what you brought in here tonight is down to you three. So, you know, my hat and my heart says thank you for giving me another chance as well. I absolutely love it. It's a great atmosphere and a great set of lads that play football with them. And I played for some years. This is the best I've ever known.
And I guess testimonies like that, when you do hear them, Adam, must be nice.
Yeah, it's what we do it for. For things like that, responses like that. Definitely.
Was there a time when, obviously in those early days, numbers, at some point it must have just clicked and started becoming a little bit more popular? Was there sort of a pinch moment where you saw that?
It took time. I mean, I would just have a little look at the list. First 3 weeks, 2, 1. Well, you two turned up to the first one. This is just at Queen's Park. And then Neil turned up for 2 weeks on his own. And we just had a chat. And then that must have been when we merged it, because we've gone from 7 and some of the lads from Dronfield went on there. And that 7 would have been probably the first proper game that we had. And we really started to experiment with it all. And then it was pretty consistent after that. And to be fair, as soon as we got to that, we knew we were onto something, because everyone had really enjoyed it that much, didn't they? And merging the 3 groups, that was the key to it, I think.
And I think Neil mentioned that Barclays advert that really was a game changer for the sport.
Yeah, they came along, and then we had Sky Sports as well that came along.
Sky came first.
Yeah, and then we had the two former players that you just mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah, Colin Tart and Pewy.
Yeah, they turned up, they had a game, they enjoyed it. They were quite, when you talk about sticking elbows out and him being aggressive, that was definitely them too. I think that's a rating a little bit.
I'm going to come to Andy next. Andy, obviously you need no introduction in Chesterfield, and Walking did you quite alright in that semi-final on the back post, knocking in that one.
Strolled into the back post.
But was there a time for you when, I guess, the people stopped you and talked to you about walking football rather than your own football?
Oh God. Honestly, no, not really.
But I guess there was a time for you as well when being involved in the sport, it really kicked on to the next.
Yeah, it's hard. I've been around Chesterfield since like 1988, from playing to the community to doing the kids and adults and stuff like that. So there's always, I've always got that affinity from the young kids to like people like Eric at 80 odd, you know, so there's always something to talk about with the members of the community in Chesterfield, and walking football is just one of those things, and the semi-final, and the Mansfield game when we played them, so there's lots of different memories, but yeah, it's a mixture of everything really.
And I guess hearing the stories from the guys and the impact that you've had on their lives, that must mean a lot to you.
It's excellent, and obviously when I was working in the community, we used to have our meals here at the end of the season dues and stuff like that, the Golden Zimmer, so it's been an excellent time while I was here, and just seeing the camaraderie, just like the players when they were playing, and the banter they were having with each other, and like I say, it's just carried on, and to say it's been 16 years, 15, 16 years is an unbelievable testament to everybody that stuck by it.
And it's been mentioned about the social aspects of walking football. You must also see that with some of the guys that still come and talk to you, the importance of, in older life, still having that connectedness and reducing social isolation through sport.
Yeah, it's that second chance where you think that something you loved as a kid, and then you stop playing because you had a granddad who was just too old to do it, and then obviously John gets the idea of walking football, and that new lease of life, and it just comes back like you're a kid again, and you're playing with your mates and having a bit of a laugh and letting goals in and taking piss out of somebody because they've let a goal in and stuff like that, or somebody's missing an easy chance, and it's just that banter, and it's just that fun and getting together again, meeting people and getting out of the house and just doing stuff, which is the main thing.
And I think a lot of the time when ex-pros come down and get involved in the stuff we do, it is something that people find hard to replace, is the dressing room and the banter, and I guess that is, as much as the physical benefits, the mental health benefits are there for all to see.
Yeah, it's obviously leaving football, it's not impossible to replace something like that, and you guys that do the walking football, this is the stuff which you would get if you were in the professional team. The banter, the camaraderie, the togetherness, and going out as a family and meeting each other's families, whether it's the grandkids and your daughters and your wives, and like I said, just having sandwiches and just doing things together. That's what life's all about, and through walking football you're able to do all that again.
And I think that I'm going to embarrass my dad here, but I told this story at the walking football quiz before he came. My mum recently had a diagnosis, and one of the things I was worried about was who was my dad going to talk to. Being a stoic Yorkshireman, not renowned for talking about the feelings. In fact, when I rang him and said, if you want to talk, Dad, I'm here, I love you, and he went, cheers, what do you think about that Bamford signing? And that was the emotional connection we have. But there was a time when I played on a Tuesday night, and there was a time when we found out that my mum's cancer hadn't spread. And one of the Tuesday players came up to me and went, great news about your mum, innit, Keith? And I thought, that means my dad's talking to somebody. So it's that is the reason for walking football, really. It's not just about being there, playing football, enjoying yourself. Actually having people that have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and been through those journeys themselves, and being able to share that. So again, creating a sense of companionship, friendship, as much of the football is obviously what it's all about.
Like an extended family, isn't it?
Exactly that. So before I come to John and the global growth of walking football, I'm going to come over to Alice to talk about women's football and those first early days where she was voluntold that she'd say a few words tonight about. So, women's walking football, surrounded by a few of our players tonight. Tell us about how that idea came and how it went off in the early days.
Not great with the microphone, but anyway. Obviously coming into the trust in 2019, and then COVID hit, my passion with football has always been through women and girls and the opportunity that they kind of get or didn't have at the time to play at all ages and all abilities. So 2022, so 10 years obviously after the male senior spy rights reform, the Women's Euros was happening in July. And obviously, as we know, eventually they went on to win that. Now we won't forget about things. And yeah, so we're still trying to grow, we're still trying to progress. We regularly play friendlies, and again, Mark, thank you for always inviting us along to some of your sessions. We play against the men, we play intermingled with the men. Obviously as well, thank you Les, who comes along to some of our sessions and helps out with the refereeing and teaches us a thing or two about what a walk actually looks like. So yes, support all round really. Again, obviously, thank you John in the first place that this is actually a thing and that we can keep pushing women within this sport of all ages really. Karen, how old are you?
76.
76.
I was over then.
Yeah,
It's
so,
incredible, isn't it?
yeah, Karen, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, currently our oldest playing member, but she scored some cracking goals. And we're all
Can I just say that you don't run in walking football, else you fall over, break things and everything. It takes ages to get back. You have to obey the rules.
And you learn that from experience, don't you, Karen? Unfortunately. Does anyone else like to say anything? No? Thank you.
Sorry.
Can I just say that we all love our Alice. She is absolutely
Yeah, she's all right. I was going to come to Les the referee, but he's still seething about this idea of heading being allowed that you introduced all those years ago. But John, I'm going to come to you now, and we've talked about the origins of the sport and the idea, but what about that first European Championships, 2019, 3 countries, and then not long after that, the World Championships, 17 countries, and the sport as it is now globally. Tell us a bit about, I guess, your involvement in that.
Yeah, just before I go to that, Keith, I'll just say that I think Bolsover District Council have got a big part to play in it as well, because as I mentioned, you worked there, and as I seem to remember, they were really one of the first ones to pick it up. I mean, we did it in Chesterfield, it wasn't the Borough Council. But Bolsover actually picked it up, and didn't they? Because you've got, there were you and Jenny were there at that time. Yeah. And that played a big part in it, and, you know, in moving it forward from what we'd started at Queen's Park. Now, I know Adam, like he said, came in and gave us a help out, but just for the areas that it would be played in, it was yeah. So, yeah. As Neil said, I think for me the sort of extended growth, if you like, came through that Barclays Bank advert. That's when it really seemed. I remember watching television, and it come on. I had no idea, obviously. And I said to Louise, I said, "Oh, you know, we invented that sport." And she didn't really bother, to be honest. She didn't know. She didn't. I think I probably told her, but she doesn't tend to listen when it's football. She's had years of it. Yeah, it just seemed bizarre that it was on, and I thought, cracky, you know, you can't believe it. But after that, that's when it really did start getting picked up. And then it did start getting more international, really. And it's, I think that and the growth of connectivity around the world, you know, social media gets a lot of blame for things, and I think there's probably things that none of us like on social media, but you've got to say on this, I think it played a part, and that's a positive sign of it. I think the first time, I'm not sure when it was now, around 2020, I got invited over to Novara in northern Italy, who were playing it, and Vitoldi on a short video we've got. He's very proud of his Chesterfield shirt, which I'm not sure if he's been on there yet, or he will be soon, Keith. And it's incredible how it's grown. I mean, I said to Keith, I'll start and let you know when people contact me, and it literally is 2 or 3 times a week, Keith, isn't it? That, you know, and there seems to be a lot of interest at the moment in Argentina, doesn't there? There's a, you know, I got contacted by a lady who lives in Buenos Aires, Alina, and she's wanting to come over, isn't she, Keith, and you know, with some of her walking football friends. I know you went to Buenos Aires. If I'd have known, she would have gone to see you. But it was ironic because 2 days later, I got contacted by somebody who plays it in Patagonia. And Alina and a friend were asking for a Zoom, so I did a Zoom with them. And I sort of said, oh, is this your... I thought it was somebody that they knew, you know, because it's... And I said, oh, he said, oh, no, didn't no idea of them, so I've linked them up, and now they're playing, and he's been up to Buenos Aires to play it, which is bizarre, all come through Chesterfield here. It's a bit sort of mad, really. You what, sorry? Yeah, they allow it, yeah, that's right. That's right, they do, yeah. I can't remember her name, but she was... They do. And then, just trying to think of the more recent ones, Keith. What have we had come through recently?
Well, what I'll do is, so John's had a few videos sent when we told people what we're doing tonight. A few videos from around the world have come through. Some of them are sort of 5 or 6 minutes long, so I've got an abridged version, which is a few minutes, but at the end of the night, we will put them on for you all to stay and watch if you're interested, and then they'll go on to the Trust YouTube channel afterwards. But
shall I just mention UEFA a bit, Keith?
Go for it.
Yeah. I've been to Italy now 3 times, twice to Novara, but the one, if you like, the standout one for me was I got invited by UEFA to Cofciano, which is the Italian St George's Park, and where their national team are based. And you know, the first thing I noticed when I walked in, they'd got 3 World Cups in reception. And I thought, wow, you know, I said to them, wow, 3 World Cups, you know, being English, I don't see that. And they said, well, we've lost one, so okay, we've won it 4 times. I said, okay. And they were launching it across their 55 nations, and it's just outside Florence, and went over there, a bit surreal really, and turned up at the airport in Florence, and there was a guy there in a suit, and he'd got UEFA badge in my name, and he'd got the big black card, just like it was incredible really. And then I did the presentation, and they did some sessions outside as well, and there were people from all around UEFA, and there were presidents of Sweden were there, the president of the Swedish FA, they all were, and I remember speaking to the president of the Italian FA, so it's sort of a bit surreal really, but nonetheless great. And they brought out the rules. You've got 2 sets of rules, one what they call the tournament rules, and one what they call the recreational. And it was interesting because the bit they were interested in was the startup, and that's what I spoke about when we said, how did you get around not having many people there, you know, for your first sessions, and how it grew. And interestingly, they said their rules were based on what they call the Chesterfield rules, which I thought were good, you know. But yeah, some of the stories we are quite moving on here, and there's one particularly from Israel, which is quite a moving one, so I'll probably let them see that, and then I'll tell them a bit of a story about it after, really.
So this is the abridged version. The longer versions will start with the Israel one later. It's like John says, it's quite poignant. So yeah, here's some messages from around the walking world.
Okay, John, I can't wear the shirt, but 74-year-old Barbara is wearing it for you, and she'd like to say a few words as with the ladies.
That's in New South Wales,
It's John Brady walking football. We love it. Yes, love it.
Running.
At 75, or retired as a year off playing catch.
opposed as Heracles from Almelo. In the Netherlands, we started in 2014 with 13 Eredivisie clubs. Most of them have now walking football in 2026. Our walking football club is completely independent, but we have a very good partnership with the professional club. Now we have about 350 teams in the Netherlands.
Dear Chesterfield football and walking football community, my name is Vito Gibin, Vice President of Walking Football Italia, and I have the pleasure and the honor to be considered a personal friend by John Croot, the person who changed my life and that of millions and millions of fans who had the brilliant idea of creating the sport that has given, is giving at this moment, and will give in the future to us joy and fun.
Greetings from Singapore and greetings from Asia. My name is Dr. Didi Mahmood. I am the founder and president of Walking Football for Health Global. Well, how did we find walking football? Okay, initially in 2016, we actually wanted to help our friend who has cervical myopathy. He was formerly a very good footballer, but when he met me in 2013, he couldn't even walk properly. He actually walked like a 5-year-old and he couldn't even button his shirt. So that's one of the reasons why I came up with the idea that walking football could actually help him. And through rehab and all that, okay, he was able to play walking football, and we were invited by the FAM, Football Association of Malaysia. He went over there and he actually scored a goal, you know. So basically, it's a success story.
Shalom from Tel Aviv University. My name is Oded Breda. My role is to manage the whole Israeli walking football activity. I proudly wear this shirt because of the special relationship we have with the club and the chairman, John Croot, since our visit in May 2024 in the World Cup, and we have very good memories of this visit and stadium.
I find it incredible that something was started in Chesterfield has all that effect around the world, really. You know. When I went over to that UEFA launch, a guy came up to me after and shook my hand, and I couldn't really tell what he was saying, but an interpreter came over because he'd got some interpreters there. He said, oh, he's thanking you for coming up with the idea of walking football. He's from Rome, and he said it had saved his life, you know, and you just difficult to comprehend, as I say, the thing that these lads set up, and it's not just me. I just had a bit of an idea. These lads carried it forward and got it to where it is today. That we've got this impact all around the world, really. You know, the other one, which I know I've mentioned a couple of you before, is last year when I got contacted by the New York Times, because that's something that I always take great pride in, is that now it's almost created a new category of sport for walking sports. There's walking tennis, walking cricket, walking netball. England Netball contacted me some time ago because they were looking for participants and felt that we had contacts in that age group. But the New York Times contacted me because they were saying that walking basketball is a growing sport over in the States, and that they'd gone to the first walking basketball group in the States and said, where did you get the idea? And they said, well, we got the idea from walking soccer. So they then looked at walking soccer and obviously ended up back at Chesterfield. So like it says, I don't know how many are playing it across the world, but there will be millions, I'm sure.
And like a lot of people in the room, John, you're a very proud Chesterfieldian. And you know, for some of our guys and ladies, they got the opportunity to play international football against Australia. Chesterfield v Australia doesn't quite sound right, does it? But an opportunity like that doesn't come along without what walking football is or what walking football has become. So, just coming back to you, John, again, I guess, how proud are you of the link between this global sport and this town?
I'm really proud that it started here at Chesterfield Football Club. To be honest, it's a bit surreal when you're doing presentations in an auditorium in Florence, and the Chesterfield badge comes up alongside the UEFA badge, and they're asking questions, and people stand up and say, I actually work at Inter Milan and AC Milan, and they've started playing it, and it's it does make you proud, and like I said, a bit surreal. We'd never have thought, would we, when you were doing it and there were just a few people, Adam says 2 or 3 turning up, Neil and Eric and the others that were about to be in, and it's incredible. And I suppose there aren't many places where they can say that, we've put a real stamp on football across the world, really.
I'm just going to come to you, Adam. Obviously, the estimate now that there's over 3 million people playing it worldwide, and could have done with a few of them in the first couple of weeks, couldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. That'd be even more. We've John had a lot of praise, but people in the room as well need a round of applause, because again, if you guys are just go, oh, it's not for me, it doesn't happen. So you guys need a round of applause as well, I think. As much as we have, in my opinion.
Can you legislate those early sessions and relate them to 3 million people playing it around the world?
It's unbelievable. It's like John just said, you add on basketball, walking cricket, we're doing all these plans as well, walking cricket, walking netball. So add all them, you might be even doubling that as well. It's incredible, absolutely incredible.
And how about you, Andy? Sort of getting some closing thoughts really on walking football. What sort of impact do you think it's had on your life?
Well, it's had a major impact when we first set it going, because we were doing like exercises and doing walks around Chesterfield canals and stuff like that. And the first one and the walking football came involved, and it's been brilliant. And like I say, you see, I think Chesterfield's got the oldest demographic of fans in the country. And seeing these guys just from watching Chesterfield football to actually participating in something that they love and carrying it on, it's just unbelievable. And obviously the numbers which you're talking about, which is so surreal really, it's hard to comprehend that it's gone from like a handful of people to millions and millions of people around the world.
And more than any of us, how proud you must be to wear that Chesterfield badge, and for these guys, it gives them the chance to wear the Chesterfield badge and represent the town, and it means a lot.
Yeah, because it's obviously, like I said, I've been here since '88, and we've been a Sheffield United fan, I'm also a Chesterfield fan, and I try and come to as many games as I can, always look out for their results. It's always on my app to see if we're winning or losing or drawing, which has not been so great at home lately. But yeah, it's obviously you've got people here with shirts on who absolutely love the club, and I guess we all do while we're in, that's why we're here. We all love the club.
As you know, I've put a lot of people on the spot tonight, so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to come to the current chairman of the Senior Aspire Rights. Mal, can I ask you about, I guess, where we are today and what we could see potentially in the future?
I joined the club in 2014, and I think I was like a 17th or 18th member rather. And yeah, it's grown to 140 members, 30 of which are just social members. They can't play anymore or they're injured, but they feel they want to stop on and be part of what Andy was saying, the banter, the group chat. chap, which is a lot of guys when they retire and they come from a factory or an office environment, they spent 30, 40 years having the banter and the chatter, it disappears overnight. And for me, after being retired for 3 years, and I found the club, I found the Walking Football on the back of Barclays advert in 2014, and I couldn't believe how mad it was. I thought it was a joke. And it was the wife that saw a piece in the Derbyshire Times and said, no, they do it at Queen's Park, they can't do it. And from that point, it changed my life.
Yes, first of all, with the gathering of people here today, and what Adam particularly was saying when initially it was just a chat and everything, write down formally the names of the people who played in the first ever game. Write it down. The guys here will know who those 7
I think he's still got his registered, that's
yeah.
what he's built.
But that needs to be known, for sure. Yeah. Because it'll be forgotten in a pile of papers or something like that. That should be celebrated. And secondly, it's really the route taken from those days in 2011 to 2014 when the Barclays Act came on. We can see the photograph there with a lot of the people with the exercise bibs on, which was in 2012. That was taken. But did you, John, have direct links with Bury? Because it was Bury FC, wasn't it, that were on the Barclays? And Bury had a very strong community-based thing. You and I both know from the Supporters Trust and everything that the Shakers Trust was a very strong trust, and I still know people who've been involved with that over the years. Was there any direct link with Bury, or did they just pick it up on a spider graph sort of thing as it spread out?
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny story really. Bury appeared on BBC Breakfast Time around that time. Playing Walking Football, it was Mike Bushell, and Mike, who was presenting it and doing the piece, and he said they've come up with a new form of the game at Bury, and they showed it on that, and I thought, oh, right. Well, what had happened was a guy called.
It's a time of life when the pace is slowed.
So without moving your lips down.
Yeah. And what had happened was Bury had actually seen the bit on Sky or something, or they'd got to hear about it, and they actually emailed and asked us the rules. So I knew I'd still got that. So my mum and dad were news agents on up at 5 o'clock every morning, still even now. So that was like the first time it was on at 6:15 or whenever in the morning. So by 7 o'clock I found the email, screenshotted it, sent it to Mike Bushell on his Twitter, and I'd sent him the email asking us for the rules. So he'd gone on national TV saying they'd come up with the idea, and then I've suddenly sent him it. So the second one said that it started in Chesterfield and was soon after played in Bury, which I thought was quite good. So yeah, that was it. But Bury do try and occasionally claim it, but at the end of the day, we've still got that email, so we'll keep it. So we wave it in front of the noses whenever they try to say anything.
Anyone else got any comments or questions?
Do you got anything about copyright?
Well, there better be now you've mentioned it. No, you're right, we're going to announce that tonight. So we are obviously very proud of, and we've talked about tonight, Chesterfield being the birthplace of walking football, and we're working on a project to get that down in writing, get it recognised, and we're delighted that on Friday, 2 hours after the close of the AGM, unfortunately, we got the email from I can't remember the name of the organisation, it's the International Office of Trademarking, that we have been granted the trademark Chesterfield, the birthplace of walking football. So get ready to see it. Yes, we've sent Barry a copy already. Any other questions or comments for the panel before we...
What does that mean, though?
So we can make the statement that we are the birthplace of walking football and nobody else can.
It does seem, always seems a bit strange to me that actually we've been recognised by UEFA before we were sort of and we've never really had any recognition from our own English FA, which I find quite strange really.
Does it surprise you though?
No.
I'll just jump in on that. Derbyshire FA were coming tonight, but Steph who's coming has had a blowout on a tyre. So that's the only reason they're not coming. So the FA, like Johnston.
I mean the national FA, not Derbyshire.
Yeah. So we did have a call recently, didn't we, with the national FA?
Yeah, we did.
And we're going to do some work with them on hopefully being officially recognised by the FA as the place of walking football.
You know, like Sky Cup or something, you think you will eventually?
I will give you the.
How big this is now? It is big.
That sounds like a rather good segue into a clip from Sky Sports about walking football. Couldn't have paid you to do that any better, Jess. So yeah, as we said, in the early days, Sky Sports did come out to Queen's Park, so you'll recognise some of the people on this video, or they might not if they've aged badly. But yeah, if you'll take a look at the big screen.
It's a time of life when the pace has slowed, but the pacemaker is a possibility. So what better way to keep fit than through a new form of the beautiful game, walking football.
If I see anybody running, it will be free kick to the side. Okay? Other than that, no slide tackles, no elbows. No elbows in the legs, okay? So, nothing too dirty.
It's being devised by League One club Chesterfield for those over 60s who love the game, but are getting on a bit. Make no mistake, these veterans are competitive, and that brings with it a certain, well, frustration.
Keep walking, remember?
Very hard to hold back. In fact, there were quite a few free kicks given for running.
You've got to use your brain a little bit. It's very hard because whenever I see a ball, I want to run.
It's football, and people do get that competitive spirit going, and they want to get that goal. They want to be there first. You got to find this space and pass it out. It's supposed to be like Barcelona do, and try and keep it a bit more because you're not going to scoot past anybody unless you've got legs like you say, Paul.
Walking football isn't without incident, of course. Maybe we should see that goal again in super slow motion. Then again, maybe not. So will it catch on? Well, as a spectator sport, there are times when it feels as if, how can I put this? The world has stopped turning. But those taking part feel differently.
It's incredible. Exercise being really often, so it was great fun. I'm 72 and I'm feeling 50. It's absolutely brilliant.
I come along here this morning, they're fantastic rolling. I'd like to see more clubs get involved with the older members of the community, reaching out and getting us involved because it's just fantastic.
The organisers here at Chesterfield say walking football has had a slow start. Happily, that's just the way they like it. Mark Dexter, Sky Sports.
What was that?
I'm going to come to you now for some closing remarks on tonight, getting everybody back together, obviously the sport, where it started, where we are. How do you summarise?
I think it's difficult to summarise. I think we can say it's gone further than anybody would have ever dreamt it's gone. Thanks to these guys here and also to yourselves for supporting it along its journey, really. It's clearly getting something that I'm passionate about. These guys are. I know Phil is, because in some ways Phil, it's come as a direct result of CFSS, because the money that CFSS put into the club ended up building the hub and gave us the base. So, you know, that's... and I think you've been in touch with Sport Relief, haven't you? Keith's been in touch with Sport Relief. I think they're taking an interest for their programme, I think, this year, aren't they, Keith?
Yeah, that's right. So
because it's probably the most successful project that they've ever funded.
Yeah, so Sport Relief, certainly the guys in the press office weren't aware of the fund that had actually started this off. So when we rang them and said, you probably don't realise this, but you're indirectly responsible for a global sport. I think it'd look good on one of your TV shows. So they said they were interested and they're hoping to come up this summer to film a bit. So you can look forward to going back to Queen's Park.
There's just a couple of quick photos from Italy. That's from the event UEFA. Look, you can clearly see there, that's in front of 55 nation presidents of football associations. And that's the rules things we've got. So now to close, thank you for your support over the years, and keep enjoying playing. And if we can support you any way we can, let us know as a club and a community trust, and let's keep flying the flag for Chesterfield and keep promoting it. And also, Les is here, thank you to the referees.